I had heard Nirvana, like in 5th grade, Smells Like Teen Spirit was the most played song everywhere, but I wasn't allowed to listen to it. Growing up in this uber Christian home, I wasn't allowed to have any, secular was the word they would use in Christian circles. I wasn't allowed to have any secular music.
What kind of steps did you have to take to get a hold of music?
So CDs were like contraband.
Yeah.
And I always resonated with kind of the taboo-ness of it. My wife always says to me, "You're super opinionated." I'm like, yeah, I gotta say what I gotta say. You know, it's just who I am. And I think that you don't get any authenticity without people saying what they gotta say, especially when it comes to anything art-based.
Our guest today is Aaron Gillespie of Underoath. We talk about the very, very early days, growing up in a restrictive household, making music for the first time, 20 plus years of chasing safety, and everything in between. Welcome to Fire with Fire. I'm your friend, Ryan J. Downing.
You are.
It's great to see you, Aaron.
Good to see you.
Thank you for joining us here. I want to actually go all the way back to young Aaron and learn. I've known you since the 90s, but there's plenty of things about you that I still don't know.
Sure.
We're often ships passing in the night. Young Aaron, what was the first music that you heard that you fell in love with? And then, second part to that question, at what point did you realize this isn't just something I love, I need to participate?
I feel like it's 2 stages for me. So I grew up in like a hyper-Christian home. And it was like, my mom was in a Southern gospel band called Daystar, which I don't know that I've ever talked about in any press outlet.
I was going to say, it's news to me. Wow.
And before that, she was in a band with her mom and aunt called the Gospelettes. They have records. And my cousin was the drummer. And I was always drawn to the aesthetics of a drum set. That's the first memory of music I have. Not like how it sounded. And I liked that, but it was like how it looked when someone was behind it. I don't know if that makes any sense, but my mother has this photo. I'm real close with my mom. She has this photo of me at 3, and she's kind of like helicopter holding me over a grocery store birthday cake that she had a drum set, just the, like, you know, icing piped on too. And I'm like, you know, like it's the coolest thing. My cousin was the drummer of her second band, Daystar. And I used to beg him to let me play, like in church. So I got my real first start, like playing drums in church, and that music was the only music I really knew. And my parents were.
And these are like worship songs.
Worship songs, and I don't remember any of them, but like, I do remember one called "Ancient of Days." It was like a 12-minute opus that I had to learn. But anyway, my parents were pretty traditional Christian, so like I didn't really know much about any music other than like church music.
Were you homeschooled at that time?
I was homeschooled for 1 year, and then the rest of the time I went to Christian school, and then I went to public school for a couple of years in middle school. But I wasn't exposed to any music that wasn't Christian music. But my dad, who I haven't been close with in many years, every Friday he would drink, like Coors Heavy, like tan can, you know, fucking, not the silver bullet, the brown bullet, you know.
This is Florida.
This is in Florida. My dad's from West Virginia. Every Friday he would drink, and he had like 150 vinyl, and none of it was Christian music.
Wow. Secret stash.
Secret stash, you know, Coke in the glove box type stash. And he would play records, like on the DL. It was wild. And he had like Chicago and the Beach Boys and the Beatles and all classic, lots of classic rock, Zeppelin. But my first time going, this is like all encompassing, is it was Pet Sounds in headphones.
Wow.
On vinyl. My dad had bought a pair of headphones, I think because he was trying to really hide that shit from my mom. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Pet Sounds on headphones is like if you're gonna.
Yeah, it's kind of like
fall in
doing
love.
drugs.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I remember putting headphones on, and it must have been probably 7 or 8, 6, and just being like, "What is this?" You know. And the second part of the question is my cousins, who I spent all my time with. Their dad and mom had gotten divorced. My uncle Richard and Uncle Richard was really into like Pearl Jam and Metallica, and he used to pick us up, and I used to get to go to their dad visits with him on the weekends, and it was so fun because this dude had a Bronco with a speaker system in the back, and he drank all the time and smoked cigarettes and said fuck, and like I thought this guy was so cool.
Yeah.
He was cool, but
He's like Todd from Beavis and Butthead.
Yeah, he was cool. Yeah, and so we would go to his apartment, and he would blast music on the way, Metallica and Pearl Jam and cool shit, And I remember when Kurt Cobain died, he made us watch the news. Didn't make us, but the news. It was like there was a hurricane coming in Florida. When the hurricane comes, the television is just. You watch the television until the power goes out because it's kind of your source for like, if you're going to die or not.
Right.
And MTV, you remember, it was around the clock.
Mm-hmm.
It was
10 to the hour every hour.
It was constant, and I fell in love and knew that I needed to make music forever when Kurt Cobain died. Wow. Not because I was like, I'm going to take up some banner or something. That's not what I'm saying. But like, there was videos of like, Dave playing drums and Scream and like all that stuff. And I was like, whatever this is, more than the Metallica that he played and more than the Pearl Jam. And I like that stuff too. Mm-hmm. But Nirvana was it for me. And where we grew up, it was like Nirvana or Metallica. You couldn't do both.
Yeah.
We've had this conversation.
Yeah.
You couldn't do both. Like you weren't allowed, So I was like.
And Nirvana famously turned down the Metallica Guns N' Roses tour.
Correct. So Nirvana for me was like, that was the impetus for me to be like, oh my God, I have to do this. Dave Grohl really, who was a drummer that wrote songs.
Yeah,
and
I was going to say, a drummer who also sang
and
played guitar.
But it like fit, it was like perfect for me. And I had heard Nirvana, like in 5th grade, Smells Like Teen Spirit was the most played song everywhere. You know what I mean? Like my friends talked about it. It was like that song you play for 6 months.
Absolutely.
Do you know what I mean? But I wasn't allowed to listen to it. Growing up in this uber Christian home, I wasn't allowed to have any, secular was the word they would use in Christian circles. I wasn't allowed to have any secular music.
So you can't have music unless you bought it at the Christian bookstore.
Which was predominantly shit.
Yes.
You know
especially
what I mean?
then.
Yeah, especially then. There was a band called Mortification.
Yeah.
It was good.
Mortification, for people watching and listening who don't know, Christian death metal.
Yeah.
And early.
And it blew this is early 90s, early to mid 90s, and you could go listening station, and I put that thing on. I just thought the cover looked evil, so I was like, fuck yeah, and it blew my mind, because he didn't sing, he only screamed. And so I wasn't allowed to listen to any of that music, but Nirvana really was, the Beach Boys was the first thing I heard, and was like, this is the most all-encompassing, incredible thing I've ever heard in my life. And Nirvana was the thing that was like, this is what I'm doing.
Give me them drums.
Yep.
Yeah.
Sign me up. And I was already playing drums in church, and it was my passion, but I don't think until Kurt died, I wasn't like, this is why I was born. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
I always thought I would work at a hotel.
In a hotel? Why?
Yeah. My dad worked in a hotel.
Okay.
And I always thought that I would work in a hotel, and I thought I could like mess around and not do anything and just like stay up all night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you kind of ended up working in a hotel, being in a touring band.
Yeah, I mostly live in hotels now. So
You're there all the time.
I guess so. Yeah.
Probably go back to one when we're done with this interview.
Correct.
So what I love about these stories is when you grow up in a household where certain things are forbidden and restricted, it just like, it's like the Jurassic Park life finds a way, right? Like that stuff still found its way to you, and you were able to kind of seek it out. And what kind of steps did you have to take to get a hold of music and, secretly listen to it?
The story of why I'm really here is strange. And I haven't thought about it in a long time. But when I was a kid, as I just said, it was all forbidden. So I'd have to hear it at other people's houses or whatever, but CDs became like contraband. This is the mid 90s. And I remember my friend at church, he's like the kid that smoked but still went to church, so he'd like go out by the ditch by the church and rip a heater, But he was somehow involved in like the audio production of the church. In the South, churches are like, Sunday morning's like a production. lights and sound and good bands. And I don't know anything about it now. It's been however long, I'm sure it's the same, right? I don't know.
I remember at a certain point, even like 10, 15 years ago, realizing like going to a mega church for the first time in forever, and it was like, oh, the band is just Coldplay doing worship.
It is. I haven't been to one in about a decade, but I'm sure.
It was about a decade ago.
I'm assuming it's the same.
Yeah.
And this kid was somehow involved with. I wish I could remember his name.
But he's the AV guy.
He was the AV guy, but the junior AV guy, and he was kind of like hip, cool guy, And he had a Rob Zombie CD. It was just a single of More Human Than,
Mm-hmm.
And he would test the sound system when Noah was around with it. And I was like, this is sick, dude. I was like, this is like. So CDs were like contraband.
Yeah.
Like I remember for some reason I had gotten in a hold of a Snoop Dogg single. And I didn't even like it. I liked that I had it.
Yeah.
And my dad pushed it into my chest. Like cut me with it when he found out that I had it. Do you know what I mean? Like, how dare you? Like literally, like I could probably find a scar, like pushed it into my chest, which is probably abuse. But anyway, it was contraband. You know what I mean? And I really loved country music and still do and work on it. Mm-hmm. And somehow that was a gray area I was allowed to have.
Interesting.
So I had purchased like a Diamond Rio Greatest Hits CD.
So you could wander into secular country music?
I could wander into country music because those guys were God-fearing, damn it.
Oh, right, okay.
Do you know what I mean?
It might not be Christian music, but it's Christians making music.
They party harder than anyone I know now that I'm in that industry.
Yeah.
So but it was like contraband. You know what I mean? And I always resonated with kind of the taboo-ness of it, if you will, taboo nature. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? It was like fun for me, like it was a game or something. And then I was playing drums in church, and I was 15, and a kid named Luke Morton, his father was in the service, and this is a guy that didn't go to our church. I wish I could remember his fucking name. Anyway, Luke's dad was there, and he saw me play drums, and he told his son. His son had been wanting to start a band, and he told his son that he had found the drummer, and they called and left a message. I don't know how they got my phone number. That's a weird thing too, but anyway, I don't know how they called and left a message on my parents' answer machine. And 3 days later, Luke and Dallas Taylor picked me up, and we drove to Ocala, Florida, which is 120 miles, and we had the first practice for Underoath.
The 120 miles bit, what was?
That's a bit that I think about a lot.
That's crazy.
It's really crazy. This is 1999.
Yeah.
98.
Probably 98.
Yeah, I was 15, so 98. And my mom let me go 120 miles. That's where Dallas Taylor lived. And his parents had like a large house on some land. It's still there. And that's where the band was to practice.
Wow.
So we drove 120 miles.
I mean, that's like a road trip. That's like a weekend
Dude,
away.
My son is 13, so only 2 years younger. And there is no world in which I think about that all the time. I'm like,
put him in a car.
Bro, I would rather like you break your leg. Not really, but you know what I mean? Like there's no world where like I would let you Godspeed, my son. Like what?
Have a good practice.
Yeah. I remember my mom, I was in the back with a big PV 412 cabinet. My mom's like, you're back there with the speaker. So fun. Like I remember that sentence.
That's like death-defying.
You're
remember, like the worst place.
With no seatbelt. It's the 90s, like.
Yeah. What do you think that is? Why do you think that she was, in some ways so restrictive, but then so permissive in a situation like that?
The honest truth. I don't believe in organized religion at all, but I believe in God and that things happen for a reason. And unpacking that is something that I still haven't been able to do in my life.
Yeah.
But I think there's a piece of that there. That
trying to reconcile how that could have happened.
Yeah, I think so.
Some divine
I think that's what I'm supposed to do. I think there's a divine element to it that I don't know how to unpack or explain.
Yeah.
And I call it God, and some people call it whatever you want. But I think that all of that came, the story I just told you about, someone's dad it's just all.
Yeah.
It's
a lot of coincidences.
It's a lot of weird coincidence. Yeah. And maybe if you want to call it coincidence, that's okay. I don't believe that's what it was.
Yeah.
I also don't know how to explain it. You know what I mean? I call it God, but some people might call it whatever.
I mean, somehow we've over intellectualized to the point where we've lost all sense of magic and wonder, I think, as a society. When you get into the like pure, there's always an overcorrection, and it's like for all the things we can criticize and condemn about childhoods and upbringings where you're not allowed this, you're not allowed that, and kind of Christian conservatism and whatever. To me, it's every bit an overcorrection to then rob a story like yours of meaning by saying like, oh, it's all just random chance.
Some things go past luck.
Yeah.
If you tell a person that on the street, or even when you're saying it sometimes, a story like I just told you, people are like, that's luck. And some things just go past luck, and they go into magic. And when it gets into magic, I go, God wanted me to do it. That's how I say it.
Yeah.
And that's what I mean it when I say it. And I don't even know what I call myself spiritually, but I do know that I believe that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that God wanted that to happen. You know what I mean? Like,
I saw this tweet once, and it was they'd taken this girl's TikTok, and the girl in the TikTok was saying, lately I'm feeling like the universe is giving daddy energy. The universe is the daddy. And then the tweet said, Gen Z dangerously close to inventing Abrahamic religion.
Dude, honestly though, like I went through this big thing, and you probably remember in some of the press, like in 2018, we made the Erase Me album, and the conservatives were so up our ass. And I was like, screw it all. And now I've kind of come full circle with it, where I believe a lot of the things I believed when I was a kid, but now I just ask all the questions.
And in a way that's not so, but more.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
To be frank, I don't raise my kids with religion at all. But if they ask, and they know we have beliefs. I believe in prayer, and they know we do those things. But I just don't want them to grow up like I grew up with all the restriction. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So my family doesn't do organized religion, but I'm hard pressed. I'd be lying to you, which I think is anti what this is, if I told you I knew any other reason that we got here.
Yeah, and I'm raising my kids the same way. They know what I believe, and when they've been the ages to ask questions about that, and we have family members, on one side of their family, there's some devout Catholics, and and it's like they're exposed to a lot, and I want them to feel like they've made their own decision about who they are.
I was too damn old to become comfortable with my spirituality. I was too old, like in my 30s, before I could make any sense of it. And I'm still like putting pieces back together. And that's not okay. Like, and I'm not saying it was my parents' fault. I mean, no one knew any better. I was born in '83. Nobody knew any better. I don't think people were as intellectually awakened as they are now. There's all kinds of things you can put on it, but I don't want my children to do that, to be 35 and going,
suddenly deconstructing.
It's a mess.
And sometimes never reconstructing in any sort of recognizable configuration that works.
It just doesn't work.
Yeah.
But so for the sake of that story, that's kind of where I see it coming from.
Yeah.
Because it's just too random.
So when you guys show up to Dallas's place, what's the first thing that happens? I mean, you're setting up gear, and then what are the conversations about? Like, we're gonna be a band. What do we play? What's our sound?
Have you ever seen the movie School of Rock?
Yes.
So I've never told anybody this. So I watch School of Rock every day. I don't really watch it. I listen to it when I sleep. I don't know why. It's like a weird pacifier.
Comfort food.
It's bizarre. So that movie and a Jon Favreau movie called Chef. Do you know the movie?
Yeah, I do.
I can't sleep with silence because my life has been so noisy, and I do really bad at silence. So I put those movies, they're downloaded to my phone, and I put them on and I listen to them. And School of Rock the most, every day. Like 4 days out of 5, I watch School of Rock at night. And there's a scene in School of Rock where he goes, you were in the band. He's giving out all the positions, and you're a groupie. I don't want to be a groupie. The whole thing. And he goes, first thing you do is talk about influences. He goes around the room. You, Christina Aguilera. He goes, what? You, kid goes, Puff Daddy. You, Liza Minnelli. He's going around the room and all the different types of people in the room. And he goes, no, rock music, Led Zeppelin, Black Sabbath. And the kids are like, you know, you've seen the movie. They don't know anything he's talking about. He goes, "You never got the rock out. What are they teaching this place?" That first car ride was like that. You know, these two guys, Dallas Taylor, Luke Morton. We're close with Dallas Taylor. I don't know where Luke is today. Dallas, we
love Dallas.
We talked to. He just sang
He did.
When the Sun Sleeps With Us, and
which was incredible.
It was incredible.
I wasn't there, but watching it on YouTube was enough for me to go,
I have a whole idea with that we'll talk about later. But it was like that, and they were listing all these bands I knew nothing about because I didn't know hardcore music at all, like screaming music other than Mortification.
Yeah.
They mentioned a band called Crimson Thorn a lot. Do you remember that band?
Yeah.
Who was another Christian death metal band.
Deep cut, yeah.
Another band called Chalice. Do you know that one?
I know the name.
Chalice was like a local Tampa-ish band that kind of sounds like, I don't know who, like Embodied maybe. Like the lines weren't blurred like they are now. Back then it was like death metal and then like Youth of Today. There was nothing in the middle, right? Like the middle it didn't exist. Like it was Gorilla Biscuits, Bane, Youth of Today.
You were like Youth Crew positive.
Youth
there wasn't
Crew.
much. I mean, there was metalcore and like Integrity and some other band.
But
Florida, you had Poison the Well.
We had Poison, but I didn't know about
you didn't
Poison
know
the
about
Well.
those bands.
Yeah. So for them it was like Chalice, Crimson Thorn, metal bands.
They were metal. Yeah.
Metal bands. This band called Yeti, who was a local band that kind of sounded like ISIS.
Wow.
You know?
Yeah.
Like they were really cool actually.
Which is funny because Underoath got some ISIS in it way later down the road.
Comes from that.
Yeah.
Comes from that. And I remember being in the back seat just being like, what the fuck are they talking about? And scared out of my mind because my references were like Nirvana and like the Newsboys.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I had no clue what I didn't know what hardcore music was.
Yeah.
Or anything with screaming other than that CD.
Were those guys into like Strong Arm and stuff?
They were
like
into
that?
Strong Arm, of course. Overcome. You remember
Yeah.
Overcome?
Yeah.
Some of that faith-based hardcore stuff. And they played it all for me. And I don't know how we got to them playing it all for me. Me just maybe being like, I didn't cop. I didn't cop to it. Like,
Yeah.
I'm lost.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I didn't say at any point, like, hey, I don't know where we are right now. I was just like, sick. And I hated it all. And they played Strong Arm, and I liked that because it felt like songs, you know? And I was really into MXPX at the time, too, because they were like kind of Christian. So I was allowed to listen to that. So you could buy Teenage Politics at the Family Christian Bookstore at the end of my street. I could walk there. So it was like that. That was that first trip. And on that trip, we got to Dallas's house and across the rural in a place called Morriston, Florida, which is outside of Ocala. And
Yeah,
there was
Ocala's already. You know, and then-
this is the outskirts of Ocala. And across like his parents' couple acre field was a country church, like an A-frame. You know what I mean? Like if you picture church in your mind, that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's where we were to practice. They had made a
way.
deal with like the youth pastor or something. I mean, maybe set 40 people and we practiced in this back room. And we wrote a song called Unite.
Of course you did.
And I don't remember anything about it other than us. Eventually we migrated to the house. We were there for like a week. And eventually we migrated to the house and I remember we were playing it for his mom. I can remember the little PA system we had. Dallas going, "Mom, this song is called Unite. It's about true brotherhood." I remember it was, and I remember me just sweating and my hands were like all cut open. And I'm like, what is this? I didn't know what it was, but I loved how it made me feel. You know what I mean? It's like a weird drug. It's like
You're just like hanging on to trying to
just
keep up.
hanging on because I had never heard like screaming music that wasn't those seconds of mortification and I didn't buy that CD because I didn't think that they were songs.
Right.
I didn't understand that it was like music even, I guess.
Yeah, of course.
Like, because I bought
When you're a kid, it just sounds
I
like...
bought the MXPX CD instead because I could sing along. You know, and the youth crew thing to me, I didn't know existed. So until that, they showed me like Shyloot and stuff, it didn't make sense that you could sing along to screaming. And I didn't like that you couldn't sing along. Like, even Inner Sandman to me was cool because you could sing it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, if you're coming from the Beach Boys, you know, you want some melody, you want some hooks.
I come from singing together commercial, like corporately, like corporately being in a group, like church. So when you can't sing along, I'm out. To this day, I'm out. Like if you can't yell along or sing, I'm out. I have no interest. Bye. You know what I mean? Like I just don't. It's not my thing. Like even if
and to this day, this is your side of Under Oath.
It is.
And what makes Under Oath as we know it? But
I'm just not interested. I'm uninterested. So I'm just hanging on for dear life, you know, playing these songs, and I just went from there, you know. And our first show was also at a church. That was a thing in Florida in the 90s. You know that? Like you'd rent a church out. I don't know why anybody let that happen. You'd rent a church out and like 200 hardcore kids would show up and just irreparably mess up the building. You know? Insane. We played our first show. I'll never forget it. You know? Forgot half the songs.
And how many people are in the band at that point by the first show?
Four. Just me from the lineup now. I should say, at that time, Chris, our keyboard player now, was around the whole time.
Yeah.
He wasn't playing in the band.
But
he was just a friend, hanger-oner, homie.
Yeah.
So I've known him as long as he's been there since the very beginning. Maybe the first couple practices, he wasn't there, but soon after, he was Dallas's friend in high school. He was a sophomore and Dallas was a senior.
And certainly Underoath, as we came to know it and love it, is a band really started in 2002, 2003-ish.
2003, yeah.
And I always say to people when this comes up about different bands, whether it's, you know, Zayo or Underoath or Throwdown or some of these bands that have one original member or no original members, where it's like, Stevie Nicks and Lindsey Buckingham aren't original members of Fleetwood Mac, but they're Fleetwood Mac.
I'm original.
Yeah.
I am.
You're Mick Fleetwood of Underoath.
I'm Mick, but except for 18 feet shorter and not British.
18 feet shorter.
You ever seen that guy in person?
Yes.
He's fucking huge.
He's huge. Have you ever seen him play the keyboard on his chest?
Wild.
Yeah.
It's wild.
It's a wild man.
It's wild. Yeah, so we played our first show, and then quickly after, I'll never forget, there was this guy named Scott Nunn who actually did a weird tiny stint in Underoath in 2002. He was in a band called Sleeping by the Riverside that was like the carbon copy of Shai-Hulud. That sounds mean. It's just, and Strong Arm, like, but it was that kind of thing, you know, real melodic. They were awesome. The stage manager, actually, for the Papa Roach tour is the bass player of Sleeping by the Riverside.
Wow.
Right now, this guy named Todd.
That's crazy.
We showed up day one. I was like, "Hi, Todd."
Hello. Yeah.
You know, and Scott was from that band, and they were like the cool. You know, every local scene has like the tent pole band.
Yeah.
And Scott had a 4-track machine, like a Fostex 4-track with tape. It would take cassette tapes, not like reel-to-reel tapes, and that's how we made our first recording, which was Unite and 3 other songs, and I wish I could get a hold of one.
Oh, it's out lost to the ether?
I think it's gone. I bet some weirdos got it somewhere. But it was Unite and 3 other songs.
Yeah.
And I remember going back to the same church a week later where we played that first show and recording drums on one mic in a 4-track. It scared the shit out of me because I had never recorded, and I didn't understand the only time I'd ever been recorded is in church services. There used to be tape decks, and you would record the church services. And we made this tape. I wish I could find one so bad.
Dude, that would be rad.
I bet
it's out there. Somebody's got it.
I bet it's bad.
Somebody's got it and probably doesn't know what it is.
Yeah, that's
Or
the
why
first
they have
recording we made. You know,
That's insane.
and it was insane. Yeah.
And as it's building, this is actually lore that I don't know. Where does Take Hold Records come into the picture?
There was our first tour ever.
Oh wait, actually, I want to ask you this, because I feel this is lore that, you know, your manager who's been with you for more than 2 decades, lore we were talking about just before we started. I was like, I remember Aaron when they wore corpse paint. He was like, you guys wore corpse paint? That's some lore.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that era.
Yeah. That was actually, so I'll answer the questions backwards.
Sorry.
So 99, we go on tour, Sleep by the Riverside, the band I just mentioned, like the Shai-Hulud.
This is
Strong
your
Arm.
first tour.
First tour.
And a tour is what? We kind of have a show here, we kind of have a show there.
I don't remember.
The routing is always like, doesn't make sense.
I don't remember a lot about it.
Yeah.
I know that we got in a van. I was 16 or 17. I had never seen snow. So I grew up in Florida, you know, like poor. We didn't travel.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I'd never seen snow. And I remember we stopped at like a rest stop in Georgia, and there was snow on the ground. I was like, whoa. It's like Hoth to me. It was like a little dusting of snow, and I was like, I need to cut open a tauntaun. I'm dying. You know what I mean? Like it was like the weird. I'd never experienced.
Which is amazing because now you've been to Haiti and Russia and all these places we were talking about.
I still don't like snow anyway. But I live where there's snow now, and every time it snows, I'm like, I'm canceling everything. Do not call me until it's over. That's my. But there was a venue in Birmingham, Alabama called Slacker 66. That was a skate shop / record store, and a guy named Chad Johnson owned that place, and he had a label called Take Hold Records. And at the time, Me Without You was on Take Hold Records. A band called Tantrum of the Muse. Yeah. A band called Stairwell.
Yep. Little EP, Through the Eyes of Caitlin.
Through the Eyes of Caitlin. Yeah. That thing's actually cool.
It was. It's weird.
Yeah, it was weird.
Weird.
And we played his record store, and he liked how much we went crazy on stage, and he offered us a record deal.
That in there. And at the time, if you're a Christian metal band, especially a Christian hardcore leaning band, metalcore, whatever, there was only a couple, it was like Tooth and Nail, Face Down, Take Hold.
Yep.
That was kind of it.
That was it.
And the secular labels weren't really.
And he paid for us.
Very separated.
Paid for us to make an EP we called Active Depression, with a guy named Greg Marchek at a studio called Audio Lab in Tampa, which is where like Morbid Angel made records. It was like a big death metal scene in Tampa. There was a venue called the Brass Mug that all the death metal bands played.
Florida's the birthplace of death metal.
Yeah, Deicide made a bunch of records with Greg.
Death, Deicide, Morbid Angel, Hate Eternal.
Death made a bunch of...
Cannibal Corpse.
Yeah, Cannibal Corpse made records there. No, they had their own studio, which a friend of mine has right now, and it's awesome. But Greg actually passed a couple of years ago. We made our first thing there, and then it came time to make our second, like, local band EP under Take Hold. And Corey Steger, who also tragically passed a few years ago in a car accident. He was our guitar player at the time. Corey was after Luke. Luke didn't last very long. Luke didn't make it to the first recordings. He was really into like European metal, all of it. Like loved it all. And there was a band on Tooth and Nail that we all loved called Extol. Remember Extol?
Of course.
They just played Furnace Fest, and it was
did.
Awesome.
And they're Norwegian.
With Bruce from Living Sacrifice singing.
Yeah, I think the singer had some visa issues.
I couldn't figure it out. It was awesome.
Yeah.
It was good. But anyways, see, I loved Extol, and the rest of the European metal I didn't understand. And he was like, "This is what they do," and I was like, "What are those things called?"
It's like gauntlets.
Gauntlets, and I was like, "I'm not doing any of that. I don't like any of that." But I liked the music that he wrote because it was melodic, and where Active Depression was very like kind of acidic and like metalcore-y. I didn't understand the music. Like I just thought it was cool to beat the shit out of drum, but I thought the music was like really like strange.
Yeah.
But I liked the metal.
But it's very percussive.
Yeah, it was. So I thought it was great. So the metal stuff I loved because it was like he was really into like the big chordal, like black metal.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I had
very orchestral.
And I thought that stuff was beautiful. I still think a lot of that stuff is beautiful.
Yeah, me too.
You know what I mean? So I loved it because it felt like songs to me, melody. And I didn't know I would
dissonant, like harsh melodies.
Yeah, I didn't know I could sing yet, but I thought it was just. I thought it felt like vocal to me. And that's where the corpse paint stuff came in. I wasn't in part of that.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm not going to do any of that.
I just remember.
I thought it was weird. I was like, I thought someone would make fun of me or something.
It was so fun though.
I don't know.
But
it was so cool. I thought it was so cool. I just wasn't going to do it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like there was a piece of me that felt like I wasn't still like, I was still the kid. These guys were 18, 19, 20, and I was still like 16, 17. And so that feels like a chasm when you're that age.
Absolutely. I have this conversation with people all the time.
My wife's 7 years younger than me. I don't think about it.
Yeah.
At all.
Yeah.
I'm 42 years old. But when you're 17, a 20-year-old is like Abraham Lincoln. You're like, who are you, man?
Yeah.
You know?
My first band we were all 15, and our drummer was 19. And we called him Uncle Keith.
Yeah, 4 years.
It was literally like he had a 5 o'clock shadow and like
Yeah.
He paid rent somewhere.
These guys were, these guys had apartments in face paint. I was like,
yeah, those are men.
I live with my mom and I spend all my time at the beach. I don't know what you're doing.
Yeah.
I just want to rip. So we made that second EP called Cries of the Past. And that's where the corpse paint thing happened, you know.
I love it. Yeah. So around that time, I remember, you know, there was this separation. It's easy to, because of course we can talk till we're blue in the face about, you know, legalistic evangelicals who, you know, thought that playing Christian metal was paradoxical and demonic and this and that. But what doesn't get talked about as often, in my view, and that I think is also important for the historical record of this particular subculture, is that the so-called secular hardcore scene, there was a long time, now it's all intermingled and it overlaps and there's bands that evolve in all directions. But there was a time in the late 90s into the early 2000s where those scenes were like parallel but very separated. And a lot of the secular bands wouldn't play with Christian bands, and kids that went to non-Christian shows wouldn't go to Christian shows.
Or if you did, what I want to cut you off, you said parallel, and it's interesting because there was some intermingling, but it was like you sat on different sides of the classroom. Like I remember playing shows, like we played with Hatebreed at the State Theater in St. Petersburg, and they were so good, and we didn't talk to them.
Right.
Later we became friends with Jamie, and it's great.
Yeah.
But continue.
Yeah.
Like it was like even when you did mingle, it was like Crips and Bloods in a way, without the murder.
I remember there was a show, I want to say it was in Memphis somewhere, and it was a Zao tour. It might have been Zao Underoath. I don't know, but it was a tour where I remember the band His Hero Is Gone, who was like a power violence crusty band. They set up a free show across the street.
I remember that.
Just to get
I was there.
Everyone, just to get everyone else away from the bad Christian show.
Weird times.
Yeah, I mean those vibes of here we have a subculture that's very free thinking and very iconoclastic and open-minded and breaking down barriers and unity and so on. But don't let the Christian kids in. And I always thought that was interesting.
And we felt the same push is in a mirror, like the other way around. You know what? No, you know what? It doesn't get talked about a lot, and I think about this pretty regularly. I used to say this in the press, like music shouldn't have like an ethos, like a faith or like a. And what I really meant was music shouldn't be under the guise of Christian music, is what I think that I meant when I would say it. And now I realize that music doesn't exist without an ethos. Like you have to have like the labels, I think. Labels being like Christian band, power violence band. I think you need that because I don't think that music is as good without the labels. I don't know if that makes any sense or not, but I've thought about it so much, even recently, where I used to say in the press, especially in like 2018, 2019, when I was going through that whole mess, I was like, music is faithless and it's just about heart and it's soul and it's art and something that I said on a camera sometime. And now I think that you almost need it to like, and later you can remove it if you'd like. You know what I mean? Like I was even going as far as saying there's no metal bands, it's just music. And now I feel like those times we're talking about, I almost am glad that they existed. And was some of it wrong? For sure. But
it was a lot of people who were passionate about a lot of things and often butting up against each other.
And it made great shit.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it made really
great art came out of it.
Great stuff.
Out of conflict.
That's what I'm saying by saying we're a non-Christian band.
Yeah.
And for that band, whatever it was like it made this
defining yourself by what you're against. As opposed to what you're for.
And I think it's silly, of course, now at 41 years old, I'm a guy in a rock band and that writes songs. Like, I don't care about that, but I think that it needs to exist for people to get the exercise out, you know? Like that kind of like, that angsty, that's what angst is. It comes from those places of like, let me get a label real quick. I'm gonna slap this on here.
Yeah.
Power violence, whatever. You know what I mean? Like, we still use the terms now. And we still use the terms because we're old, I think. But I think that the terms
have dissipated a lot.
Have dissipated a lot, and I'm glad. I don't think you get knocked loose without power violence bands.
Right, absolutely.
That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, and there's like a thing where I talk about this all the time. Actually, a lot of it's conversational, right? Like if you're, I just wrote a comic book with the guys from Twisted, and when I describe it to people, I'm like, it's Jay and Silent Bob meets Scooby Doo. And it's like, because you immediately understand what I'm describing, right? And it's like, that's the way people pitch movies oftentimes. It's this and this, a little bit of this. And, I remember Billy Vallow from him telling me once in an interview, he's like, my band is just U2 and Black Sabbath and Type O Negative. And it's like...
It is.
It is.
That's the weirdest thing. He said that to you?
Yeah. And it's like, but through his prism and whatever becomes something unique, right? And it's like, Metallica at the start was Diamond Head and Motorhead,
I've never heard
but no one
say
had done Diamond Head and Motorhead, and then but it's just, this is the way we talk about music when we talk about art, so it always fascinates and sometimes frustrates me, interviewing so many bands and knowing so many bands and stuff, when bands are in that era, and a lot of them then, I'm generous about it because I watched them also outgrow this, but there's always that moment where no band ever wants to be associated with all the bands they're associated with. They hate the category they're in. And it's this moment of like growing pains where, not to throw our friend Chris Carrabba under the bus, but I use him as an example. Love Chris. Met him back around the same time you and I met each other when he was doing...
We stayed at Chris's house when we made our second EP.
Wow. Yeah. So there you go. It was right there. I did his first interview. He didn't tell me that till years later, but when he was in my fanzine, it was his first interview. I say all this to say that, did his first cover story for AP. I say all this because when he was doing his next cover story, the edict that came down from his record label and his management and everybody that was surrounding it before I did the interview was, you're not allowed to say the word emo.
That's that early.
If you say the word emo during your conversation with Chris, your conversation's over.
And he's kind of like the Godfather.
Yeah, and he's doing emo night now. But at the time it was just like, and he was, I've got an acoustic guitar, I'm playing emo, there's a room full of, hundreds of people that know every word and they're passionate and they're crying. And now the story was like, I have a band. I'm working with this guy who does the Counting Crows records.
I remember that era.
And it's just, and again, I'm not saying this to single him out because it's time after time after time after time I've seen it. I had a friend who got hired to pitch some merch designs to AFI. It's years ago. And the merch company said, okay, well, the only art direction from the band is no pumpkins, no bats, no skulls, no Halloween.
Oh, God.
No, and it's just like, it's AFI. They're like,
what do we do then?
Yeah, I just did a bio for AFI a couple years ago, and I said, is there anything that you hate that shows up in your bios that I want to make sure I don't put in there? And they said, don't call us goth punk. But what's the first thing you'd really call AFI if you're having a conversation with someone?
I wonder, I feel like we are at a place where we're over that a little bit.
Eventually you come full circle to
But if I'm honest, just like AFI a couple of years ago, there's things that I don't like being associated with.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And I'm really trying to I remember when we really blew up, 2004, 2005, 2006, on the Warped Tour, NOFX being salty as hell about it.
That was a big thing.
It was a big thing, lots of bands being salty towards us.
That might coming up to you and going, do you guys believe in dinosaurs?
All kinds of shit.
Yeah.
Just defaming us from stage, all of it.
Bullying you, basically.
It's boring to talk about because
Yeah.
it's just so silly. But yes, Pennywise, bands that we thought were the Godfathers kind of making fun of us. And I remember it hurt, man. It hurt so bad. And I remember just being there and being like, damn, dude, we're just doing our best. And people like it. And I couldn't believe that people liked it on a commercial scale. And that was never the goal. And I thought would never happen. I just remember being so I didn't, until you just said bullying, I've never thought about it that way. I always thought it was just they're taking the piss out of us because they think what we do is stupid. Now, let's fast forward 21 years. I'm sitting here with you. I feel that way sometimes about stuff that's new and gets huge that I don't understand.
Yeah.
And
it doesn't feel like it's earned.
I always check myself now because I remember being in that position. We were Sleep Token one time.
Yeah.
We were.
Sure.
We were Bring Me one time.
Yeah.
We were Beartooth one time. We were there. You know what I mean? And when I hear things from these bands, And I like Things by all those bands.
Sure.
It's just what that came to my brain. But there's modern stuff that I think is contrived and sucks. And I'll never say it. I'll never do it because I remember what it felt like to be on the other side of that. So I think, I'm trying to grow up to be able to, someone says emo or emo core or whatever the freaking thing is, all that to say, like, I try to be like, yeah, I guess.
Okay.
Because I remember what it felt like to be made fun of like that. And I think that the point of me saying all that is to say, I think the AFI and the Carabas of the world, I think that comes from a place like that somehow. I think there's something that happened, and I don't know the stories from those two people at all, but like I think that it comes from that place. If you've been ribbed enough about something, and then somebody wants you to, they draw a parallel with that, you're like, oh shit, like, really? Then just take me out of it. Do you know what I mean? Like we didn't hang out with the Bouncing Souls, and NOFX only hung out with us to make fun of us, and like I don't ever want to do that. You know what I mean? Like whoever the ghouls are in Sleep Token, I'd love to buy them a coffee.
Yeah.
I'm so glad you're doing well. I'm so glad rock music is on the map. I don't understand what you're doing, and I don't even know if I like it.
It's not for you necessarily. But
I'm so glad that it
works.
I'm so glad that it works. And I've been really trying to have that mindset at 41, where the pop of success is behind me, and being good with it. Like actually being good with it.
Well, it also depends on how you define success, right? And figuring out that you define that on your own terms.
I think that musicians don't view success as what it actually is.
Which is?
I think musicians, particularly in our scene, view success as the moment that it pops, right? The moment that's like, you're number one on this playlist. Well, back then it was like you're number one on
But you guys
pure
had
volume.
gold records, and you had 100,000 first week or what?
That crazy shit.
Things. Yeah.
Like now it's Sleep Token selling out arenas in America clean.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like our moments like that are over, I think. Maybe I don't know. But I think that's what musicians think is success, is like selling all the records, the gold records, the pre-sold out tours, the quick things, the now things, the pops of ecstasy. I think that that's what every musician thinks is success. What success is to me, we're talking about this on the way over, is the Deftones. 3 years ago, I saw them play in front of 2,000 people. Not even sold out at the Janus Landing, which we just did 4 nights at.
Right. Yeah.
They sold out the Forum last week. And they have a whole arena tour right now that's on sale that's sold out. There's no record. There's no single. It's just, if you stay in it long enough, if you keep your foot in the gas, eventually you'll catch the leader.
And I love that they were always, I often point to them as the example, even prior to this like current sort of renaissance, they were never, like when nu metal was exploding, they were never as big as Limp Bizkit. They were never as big as Alien Ant Farm. People forget Alien Ant Farm had like a double platinum record. They were way bigger than the Deftones. But it's like, wouldn't you rather be the Deftones?
That's where I'm at, is like, I mean, I don't know how sustainable some of that is. We have just, we just had our biggest year last year.
Which is incredible.
Yeah, but it's a strange thing. We didn't have any crazy moments. No TikToker grabbed a song and turned it into the biggest thing while they're putting on their makeup or whatever. Like that didn't happen. Do you know what I mean? But, fiscally, it was our biggest year ever last year. So I think it's interesting. Like, I think that's success. Is 20 some odd years later, you can look at your friends you've been around for 20 some odd years and go, I'd really like doing this with you still.
Oh God.
It's just really fun.
Yeah.
Like tonight was a fucking blast. Like I hate everything else about it, but tonight, like being on stage with the 4 of you was really fun. Getting here I hated, and the plane and the bus and everything else, and being away from my family sucks. But this is great. I think that's success. And I think that we need to learn to see it that way as musicians instead of like the pop. Do you know what I mean? I'm old enough now and been in the industry long enough to see trends, which has been strange. I never thought I would see the end of trends.
Right.
There was the pop punk thing was like the thing. You know what I mean? And then it was like metalcore was the thing, and then it was pop punk again. It was rap.
Yeah.
And now all the rappers.
And Day to Remember was brilliant because in a Florida band, they were like, what if we took pop punk and gave it metalcore breakdowns.
What if we did it all? Yeah. Then the rappers, like, seeing kids wanted to be rappers. They got face tattoos.
They sure did.
And then during the pandemic, my phone was ringing off the hook about writing pop punk songs with the rappers. I was like, you sure? And now they all want to be country.
Oh yeah. Now they're all Jelly Roll.
So I've just seen it all like change and happen, and the Deftones, what they've done is just the same fucking thing. So that's the road that I'm trying to hoe with our band. You know, it's like we just make whatever we want. You know what I mean? And we're not gonna, and I make country music for other people. I've always liked country music, but we're not gonna make country music, and we're not gonna make pop punk music. Like, we're just gonna be under oath forever, or until we all decide it's time for it to be over. Do you know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
Like,
and one of my favorite things about Under Oath and why I think it exists in this very pure state right now, and especially with the record cycle that you're in, is you know, Spencer did Sleepwave, and you did the Almost, and you've written with a bunch of other people. It's like, you know, Chris has his film scores he does. I think the fact that you're able to exercise all of those different creative muscles makes Under Oath that much more pure when you come back together, because it's like, we're doing Under Oath right now.
I don't really love to make heavy music outside of that. It's not something I am interested in doing. Like, we did a collab with Bring Me last year that was really fun, but it was just a top line. There was no production instruments involved. It was literally just, here's this, will you do this? I'm not really interested in it at all. Like, I maybe as a producer down the road if the right thing came along, but where heavy music is currently, I mean, there's a few things happening that are really exciting. The Knock Loose thing was really exciting for me. Like, cause I was like, whoa, like it kind of sounds crazy and it's like messy and like, but heavy music for the most part is really, it's pretty cookie. It's pretty uninspiring to me right now, personally.
There's a lot of it's become very formulaic and very safe and sound.
Once Bring Me got big, everything kind of went us too. We are also Bring Me.
Oh yeah.
We also will sound like Bring Me.
And Bring Me, who I have tons of respect for, Bring Me did a little like Linkin Park. We like them. And then bands went, oh, we like how Bring Me likes Linkin Park.
Yeah, and then
it's just like a
and
copy
I think
of a copy.
we're still riding that wave a little bit. And I think Ollie's brilliant, and I really like Bring Me. But Diet Bring Me is bad. Like, I have no interest in it.
Yeah.
Not that it's bad music. It's uninteresting.
It's just not interesting
to me. So, all that being said, I think for the five of us that make that music, it's like a sacred space. You know what I mean? Like, we all go do these other things, like you said, and we come back where there is really no rules. There's a lot of rules that I feel beholden to in music sometimes, especially in the country space, where, like, in the country space, you can't really say how you feel. You can, but it's got to make sense. Country is the only music that is lyric-driven first. It's lyric first. Like, the radio in it isn't interested unless that shit makes sense. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Rock music has always just been free speech. You're doing your thing. You know what I mean? Country music is, and you tell your truth, but you got to do it right. It has to make it
certain.
Like, my publisher used to say, my old publisher would say, make it make sense. Like, make it make sense. Show your work. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Well, I got the answer right. Look, people like it. How'd you get there? You know what I mean? Like, that sort of thing. Like, you got to go from a gas station to a field and tell me how you got there and who you did it with and what she looked like. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's country music. You know what I mean? But in Under Oath, it's my chance to say that I'm on the moon now, and it's none of your fucking business how I got here.
The lines again.
Yeah. So I think that's why it still works this many years later, because it is such a release for the five of us, because our lives are all these other things. You know what I mean? So I think that it's a freeing thing to me still. The album we just made, that just came out, is I think the purest form of that for us. There is really truly no. I mean, there are tropes on previous albums where we were like, this worked before, like maybe, you know, just kind of like that. Sections, you know. But this one is just like, this is it. You know what I mean? Like, good luck, Godspeed, you know? And I feel good about that. Like, even if no one likes it, I feel good about it, you know?
And I do like that you've always, at every step of the way, Under Oath has been a band. We're talking, 2003 onward, where you've challenged yourselves as much as you've challenged the status quo. I think specifically about like the Chasing Safety era, And there were a couple of songs in there that really broke out and resonated with people that are still meaningful to people.
Sure.
Catchy hooks. A lot of your voice, you know, being the melodic voice in Underoath. And the smartest, safest, and probably easiest thing to do would have been to make a record after that was 10 of those. And instead, you guys ran as far away from those as you could for a minute.
Brandon Ebel, who owns Tooth and Nail Records to this day, at the time it was 51% owned by EMI, but he was in charge. Like, he still talks to me about that. I'm serious.
Yeah.
Like, bro, if you would have made another record like that, you'd be the biggest band in the world. And you know what? He's dead wrong. And here's why I think so. Like, so few of our peers lasted through that initial pop of emo. I don't think it would have. I don't think we'd be sitting here. I don't think I would be a relevant person for you to talk to if we would have made Chasing Safety Part 2, because I think that it would have burned out. You know, at the time, those kids would turn 18, 19, and then they found Bright Eyes. Or they found whatever else was happening at the time. I think people stuck with Underoath because it was, what the hell are they gonna do next?
Yeah.
What kind of train crash are we about to look at again? You know what I mean? Like, there are bands you want to make the same record over and over again because it's
AC/DC, Motorhead.
Give it to me.
Yeah.
Don't mess with AC/DC. I mean, even Blink-182.
Sure.
Like, give me Tom DeLonge. I know his voice is odd. Give it to me. I want it. Put it in my veins. You know what I mean? Like, that whole thing. Like, there's things you want to be that way, but people don't want that from Underoath, even when they say they do, because I think people believe, and even if they say it's untrue, they believe in our honesty, and our honesty is on display because of the variance in our art and our music. You know what I mean? Like, no one does that to, like, it's like, to find the right line is essentially shooting yourself in the foot.
100%.
And everything after has also been that.
Counterintuitive, and like, you know, they're the biggest like emo Christian-y band, and it's like, okay, cool, they're gonna make like a Hydra Head record on Tooth and Nail, you know, which was essentially what Define the Great Line was.
It's what we did,
Yeah.
and it worked, and I think it only worked because people feel our honesty, and they were mad about Define the Great Line just like they've been mad about every other record since. The trolls online have been mad.
And they've been mad as the first time the word fuck showed up in an Underoath.
They've been mad the whole time, and I think that for me, that's a special thing. Because if people love one thing so much that they get mad about it, like I get mad about all kind of stuff that comes out. That when Cave-In became like a pop band or like I was like, this sucks. I didn't tell anybody. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
you didn't go on a message board or
no, I
anything?
didn't.
Yeah.
I didn't tell anybody.
Yeah.
You know, like I don't like Saint Anger. I don't
Right.
tell anybody. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, it's just
You're not gonna go on a crusade.
the last 3 Foo Fighters records. I'm like, I don't give a shit. Like,
Yeah.
I think it's special that people care enough to say something, but I also think that's why we're here. It's because we've been brutally honest with what we make every time, and sometimes to a loss.
Yeah.
You know, but I don't think we know any other way. And I don't know why. I don't really know why. I thought about that a lot recently too, just in so many interviews for the album and whatever. I don't know why. Usually don't have time to figure out why, so it's like
You're too busy doing it.
you make it and you do it. And I think for us, Spencer says this a lot, and I think it's kind of a regurgitated statement, but the litmus is us. It's like, if the 5 of us can be like, hell yeah, this rips, you know what I mean? Like, then we'll let it go. But it's a long, arduous process to get there. And you think you're right a lot. You know, I cracked the code today. I got the chorus, or I got it, you know? And everyone else is like, that's cool. And you're like, what? How do you not think this is amazing? And they're like, just because it isn't. It feels like a lie, or it feels like you made it for someone else. I get that a lot. You know, it feels like you made it for someone else. I'm like, fuck, you're right. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's a strange thing. Like,
And you all know each other so well that you're able to check one another.
It's a strange thing, but I think that's why, that's the only reason we're still here. If we would have made that second Chasing Safety, I think it would have just fizzled out when the style fizzled out. Because the style has come and gone. We just saw the resurgence of the emo thing again.
Yeah.
You know, like, I think it would have fizzled until 18 months ago. I believe that.
Yeah.
If we would have you know.
You would have been doing something else for a living until the emo cruise came along, and you'd be like, oh, thank God, the emo cruise is here.
Do what I used to love to do. Now I don't have any hair, and I'm gonna get out there and rock. And there are those bands that are doing that now, and I think that's okay. Like, I'm just not interested in that. Like pigeonholing myself to that position. I'll do the emo cruise. We do it every year. It's
of course
best.
Yeah.
But like we're just still doing it. You know what I mean?
You're still being provocative, challenging, inspiring.
If for anything, just for us.
Right.
You know? I don't know that people even use those adjectives anymore about Underoath. I think people now go legacy band that's still making records that I like one song off of sometimes. I think that's true.
Maybe for some people.
Maybe.
But I think that there's people that are excited when things come out because it's interesting.
Yeah.
And I was talking about this with Matt from Avenge, because they're a band that's been in a similar place where they could have made this record again, and people think that they should have because this would have happened. But every new record that's not as good as the last one then becomes the old record that the new one's not as good as. You just have to give it until the next album cycle or two.
I think about this all the time. The fan that's like, "Where's Define the Great Line?" I'm like, "You hated it when it came out." And also, you don't listen to that music right now. You don't. You listen to Knocked Loose and Nathaniel Rateliff and the Night Sweats and rap music.
Yeah.
I know you. I see you.
And if we did Define the Great Line again, you'd just say, why did they just do that again?
That's what I mean. But like, come with me.
Yeah.
Like, I've grown like you have as a person. I had to get a sitter to be here tonight too. Do you know what I mean? So it's like, we're all in the same cauldron of influences and things that made us get here, you know? And we have to be willing to like be open-minded, I guess. Yeah. But I don't know. It's a weird thing. If AC/DC put out something that sounded like Nine Inch Nails, I'd be pissed. So I don't know.
This is dating myself a little bit too, but I remember having an argument with a good friend at the time when Metallica cut their hair. That was controversial. Metallica was short hair and shortcuts for all.
Did you want long hair?
And no, I wanted to go along for the ride and watch them evolve. And the thing that I said that won an argument with a friend is I just go, well, you cut your hair. It's just like, you want your Metallica to be frozen in time from when they meant the most to you. And
I think Metallica,
but they're living and growing just like you are.
They're probably the biggest rock band.
Yeah, the U2, Coldplay, but I mean, but metal, hard rock.
Like those guys probably get more hate than anybody. I can't imagine.
Oh yeah, record after record.
What if you had made Saint Anger? We watched some kind of monster on a loop.
Oh yeah, it's become Spinal Tap, but not because we're laughing at it. It's like the earnest, sincere.
Crazy.
But in this, I say it's like Spinal Tap in that it's a rite of passage for every band needs to watch it and understand. You see yourself in it.
Do you know Nick Storch?
Of course, yeah.
His favorite thing in the whole world is Metallica. And I said to him one time, I'm like, everyone hates everything they've ever made except for like 3 things. He's like, I know, it's crazy, but they're the greatest rock band ever. I'm like, those are weird stats. Do you know what I mean? Like whenever you get bummed on your arc of your music, you got to look at Metallica, who sells the stadiums out. Like, I mean.
Metallica is my favorite band in the world, favorite band of all time. I defend a lot of parts of the catalog that a lot of people don't like. But someone in a group chat sent a meme, and they're doing it to pick on me. But there was a meme sent in the group chat, and it said like, Metallica's coming up on their 50th anniversary. Thanks for 7 years of great music. It's like,
but people still buy tickets.
Oh yeah.
And that's the thing that I think is interesting.
And people pay attention every time they do something. People have opinions about Saint Anger. They have opinions about the record with Lou Reed. They had opinions, and that's been happening to them. People generations before us. People, complained that there was no bass on And Justice for All. They complained that
I've never heard that one.
Ride the Lightning has a ballad. And then I was talking to David Ellefson once, who was from that era, and Megadeth and stuff. And he pointed out to me, because this was before my time, that people complained that Kill 'Em All didn't sound like the demo.
Really?
Different bass player, different lead guitar player, and it wasn't as vicious, and because it's a lot of the same songs. It's not as good as the demo. So it's just like every step of the way, some portion of the fans are but then there's more new people coming.
I think that's what I was trying to say a few minutes ago, is like, I think that's good.
Yeah.
I think it's really good. if you make something, I think what's scary to me, and I don't know why, maybe it's just because of the Metallica effect and because of the way that we came up making this music. If you make something and someone's like, oh my God, I love it, I love it, I love it. I'm like, that, what? Did you listen to it? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Oh my God, it's so good, slaps. I'm like, did you listen? Because you don't have anything else to say other than you like it. Like, or silence, then if it's silence, you're in trouble. Indifference is bad. But love it, love it, love it is also really weird. Do you know what I mean? How often do you hear love it, love it, love it, love it, love it? And it becomes something that's iconic or something that has staying power. Do you know what I mean? Like, we're still talking about Saint Anger.
Exactly.
It's crazy.
Yeah, more than the records that they did that kind of reclaim their legacy and things that came out after.
Their newest thing is cool.
Yeah.
There's cool songs. There's cool songs on Death Magnetic.
Yeah.
There is cool songs on those records.
I love Death Magnetic. I love
We are
Hardwired.
still talking about Saint Anger.
Exactly. Yeah.
It might be their biggest album somehow.
In terms of a cultural conversation.
That's what I mean. In terms of talking points, obviously, I remember people hated the Black Album. Hated it. Mm-hmm. It's too pretty. It's clean.
Slow. It's mid-tempo. It's too slick and produced.
I'm a Metallica fan, but I'm not a big Metallica fan, but that's the best Metallica. Fact.
It's the biggest selling record of the SoundScan era, so that's a lot of people to be wrong if they're wrong.
It's a strange thing. The hate is and I think that transcends not just music. I think that goes out into the ether publicly with all kinds of different stuff. You know what I mean? Whether it's political or I think people talk about things in the opposite way. They really like it or think that it's provocative and they want to not like it because it's provocative, but they have to. So they have to say something or whatever.
I think the through line to me is, and this brings us full circle all the way back to the beginning of Under Oath, is authenticity and intention. That if it's what I respond to in art, whether it's a movie, whether it's a record, is just feeling like the people that made it really believe in it, and that's the thing that they had to do. That's who they are. And the thing with the legacy bands, as you go on, and bands that that last 20 years, 30 years, is if you want that artist to be frozen in time in the moment where you love them the most, you're robbing them of their authenticity, because then they're just, it would be, for Metallica to pretend they're the same guys that wrote Ride the Lightning would be false, because they're not. And in the 90s, when they loved Soundgarden and Alice in Chains, and they went back to Zeppelin and Thin Lizzy and stuff like that, and they did those records in the 90s that were in that vein. That was them being just as authentic and true to themselves as they were when they were making Master of Puppets.
It's weird. You get stuck in a time period in somebody's life, and you don't know what's going on with them. That person can be in a breakup or getting off of a substance or heavily using a substance or in some situation, and maybe that was their Ride the Lightning era or their Load era, whatever it is, and they're stuck on that forever. Mm-hmm. And that's why I think that's what happens. Is I think music is the soundtrack to people's lives, as cheesy as that sounds, but it captures a time. You know what I mean? Like when I'm singing, we just did a fucking 100 shows of Chasing Safety, and I'm singing this stuff. I'm like, this is just what was I talking about?
Right.
It's very
who was that guy?
A relationship I was in when I was 20. I have 2 kids and a vasectomy, and I'm in my 40s. I'm like, fuck is this? I don't care about this. You know what I mean? At all. This is ridiculous. The subject matter is this makes no sense, and I don't even like this. But then you get up on stage, and there's all these people, and they got their wives in their arms, and they got their best friend, their locked arms, and they're singing it like it's yesterday. Do you know what I mean? It locks people in a place and time, and I think that's where a lot of that hate comes when you make something new, is it doesn't make me feel like I felt when I was in that place. Well, buddy, I'm not there either. I think it's insane that I was talking about whatever I was talking about. A 20-year-old person has no idea where they are in the world, and neither did you. But now you have a real job, and I'm still doing this.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to give you that authentic thing of where I am now. And it's different than when you first encountered it and now you hate it.
And part of it is your difficulty as the person on the other end of it and admitting that you're different too. you know, you don't want to let your favorite band or your favorite film director or whoever be different.
That's the
change,
thing.
But you
it's like
have.
you do so much different stuff. You've lost or gained 40 pounds, and you're married, and you also have a vasectomy. High five. Like,
Right.
let's just meet there. Let's meet there. But also, like, I kind of don't want it to change. Like, we talk about it a lot in interviews where you're like, yeah, they hate this and they're stuck there, and we try to dissect it. You know, we're waxing poetic about why it happens and Death Magnetic versus Ride to Lightning, but you wouldn't have any of this without that, right?
Yeah.
Like, if everybody just liked everything you did, you're fucked, and everyone hated everything you did, you're fucked. But if there's banter about it, now we're doing something. We're in culture now.
That's the life. That's
Like, we're in culture. We're living here now. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's how life is. Like,
I mean, I was never big into sports, right? But I came to understand at some point, and Metallica being a great example of this. This conversation we're having, this is my sports. This is our sports, because it's like, you know, you love your team, but maybe you hate the coach this season, or you're upset that the quarter, or, you know, this running back got injured, or whatever it is in the sports world. It's like, I'm always going to root for them, but I wish that I have my opinions about how they're doing it, and I hate the new uniforms, whatever it is.
dude, it's crazy.
It's our sports.
It's true, and I never thought about it that way. I was in a hotel gym the other day, and there was some show. I'm not a sports guy either. I like NASCAR, but I don't like traditional stick and ball sports. And there was this show on. It was like The Herd with Calvin Cowherd or Colin. It was like, and he was talking about like what somebody did in the off season, what kind of car they had. And I was like, this dude's fucking crazy. That's what I thought. I was like, what's wrong with this guy? This dude's just a football player. Why does he care what kind of car he drives? And now we're having this conversation, and we know all the ins and outs of like power violence bands from Florida in 1998.
Exactly.
I'm like, we're the same.
Yeah, exactly. Remember when His Hero's Gone played a free show just to get the It's exactly the same.
It's funny.
That's our like stats, like someone's rookie card or whatever. Like, yeah.
And I think it matters. Like, I think that the fact that we're here this many years later, and that we're having this conversation and we're still friends, is because of the love and the hate and all of like the mixed bag of things that got me here, that got you here, that got us here. And it's just cool to sit down now and be like, I remember that, do you remember that? And we're still doing it, and sometimes I don't know why, and sometimes I really do. And I think that it's become our lives, which I never thought would happen. You know, to go all the way back when I got in that car, that Beretta, that white Beretta from the 80s, I never thought they would become my life. Like, if you would have held a gun to my head and said, pick, you know, are you going to be a hotel clerk, or are you going to talk to your friend in 21 years about this? I'd be like, nah. You're going to make a living doing this, and you're going to meet your wife doing this, and you're going to have children doing this, and you're going to eventually write with radio country people because of doing this. I'd be like, come on, dude. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't seem feasible or even possible.
Yeah.
You know, like.
Certainly not likely. Yeah.
Tim says, the guitar player for our band sometimes says, who you know very well, he goes, we just stepped in shit. You know, and he's joking. And like I said earlier, I believe that it's a divine, magical thing, a spiritual thing. But like, sometimes it's hard to like look at it and think that it's anything other than that.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
I do.
Because it's odd, like how it's all connected and how small it all really is. You know what I mean? How you remember a show with Zayo from 2000 where His Hero's Gone played a show across the street to get the kids out of the Christian show. You remember that, and I do too, and we were both there.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, it's a really odd thing, and we literally own homes.
Right.
From this.
Yeah.
Which is, it feels like we went to Mars, you know? Like, that's what it feels like sometimes.
We weren't supposed to make it. We didn't even know that's where we were headed.
And all along the way, I don't know if I've ever said this either, but all along the way, I never thought it would work.
Yeah.
Like, at every step of the way, I didn't think it would work. You know, at every level of success or disdain, I never thought any of this would work. I still feel like that, if I'm honest. Which I don't say to sound ungrateful, but I still just don't know if it's going to work. I mean, it's obviously worked, but I just still don't know.
That's part of, I think, the drive that continues to push you forward too, right? Is that you're like, this, you know, is the next moment going to happen?
It's odd, right? Because I wish there was a way in art and music to go enough. Do you know what I mean? Like,
But never. But you say that, but you don't really wish that.
I don't know. Like I saw all this stuff about, didn't Elton John just do his farewell or whatever, right? He's like done or something.
I mean, and you know, Ozzy's doing his millionth farewell.
Yeah, but Elton John just did his, and now I see him on stage with Chappell Roan, singing Pink Pony Club. That producer Watt, who just had a bunch of success. He did the Pearl Jam record, and he did the he did the latest
He did
Stones
He did the
record.
Post Malone. He did Ozzy's last record.
Yeah, he is now like Elton John's taking pictures with him. You know they're making a record.
Yeah.
Like what are they? He's just hanging out with Elton John for fun.
I know people who spent endless amounts of money to go to the final Kiss show of the final Kiss tour, and at the time that we're taping this right now, Kiss just announced a show in Las Vegas.
It's like I wish there was a finish line. I was talking to somebody yesterday. I'm a huge Johnny Cash fan, and 2 days before he died, there was like this. It was like a post, and it was him in a room with like 50 people, like a room this size, and it's like a video, and he's like, "I'm sorry for the laryngitis," like apologizing for how he sounded. He was dead 48 hours later, and I think that's really the end for us all, that do this, that have chosen this path. And sometimes I wonder if that's like I feel guilty about it sometimes or something. I wonder if it's okay. Do you know what I mean? Like if it's is it? We all have children, and the whole thing is it okay to like play a show in your house for 40 people 48 hours before you die? Like I don't know why I feel like I kind
of feel like that's the dream.
Yeah, but I feel. But you know what I mean when I say I feel like I need permission for that.
Yeah.
Right? Like, will you and I be in our 60s talking about Metallica? Probably. Yeah, it's inevitable.
Yeah.
And Hetfield will be like 75. And
and they'll be playing.
Of course. Do you know what I mean? Like, but I sometimes wonder if that's okay.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Like, do I summarize my life that way? Like, I've got 2 days left. I'm going to sing for these people. And then apologize about it. It's fucking crazy.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, when you think about that, when someone's like, people in his family were like, Johnny, brother,
take a
lay
nap.
down. You're
okay.
dying.
Yeah. You can let go.
You're dying. No, he had to play for those people. He had to do it. And I know what that feels like. You have to. You have to do it. And it's just like, I think we're searching for permission at all times to be absolved of feeling like that's wrong. Does that make sense?
Oh, God.
Do you know what I mean?
That's the soundbite that's going at the top of this episode.
We're all searching for that thing that's like, you can do that, You've said it to me 3 times just now, and it means a lot coming from you, but I almost need not you to validate it. Because I know that you and I will talk in 5 years and we'll have the same fucking conversation, and it'll be beautiful, and we'll both learn things from it. But I almost need like someone's friend who's a doctor to be like, that's cool, but he's never gonna do that. You know what I mean? He's gonna say, Johnny, you should have laid in the hospital bed that day.
Yeah.
And he'd be right, and Johnny's right too. Do you know what I mean? I think that's really the end of it, is like, they're both right, which is so scary. You know what I mean? Like, I feel this innate guilt about my life a lot. And I don't know where it comes from, but I don't know if it's like
I think it's because of it doesn't feel like something that you were able to get, so then it feels like you weren't supposed to. And yet you had no choice.
Yeah.
You kept getting pulled into that road trip to the middle of nowhere in Florida.
Still on it. Where I'm like, I want to just be satiated and go, yeah. But then I look at Johnny Cash, who wrote some of the best songs I've ever written, and he played 2 days before he died.
Yeah.
Why did he do that? Why?
And was still, that Mark Romanek Hurt video that was nominated at the VMAs.
It's one of the best pieces of film ever made.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I wonder why he couldn't answer that question. Am I done? Like, why did he, when he woke up that morning, 2 days before he died, and he played that show, why did he do it? And did he have peace about it?
Did he have peace about it, or was it routine? Was it this is what you do? This is what I do. I get up and put my shoes on and play a show.
Yeah. Isn't that weird? Like, I've been thinking about that. Like,
but what a gift, though, right?
It's awesome. Yeah. And if you can come to, I think the real truth is, can you come to terms with it and allow yourself to be absolved of the guilt from it, of going, oh, I'm satisfied, I'm done. Like, can you allow yourself to be like, I still gotta go. I still gotta do it. And even when people stop paying as much attention as they did before, now they're at Sleep Token. You know, I hate that I keep saying Sleep Token.
No,
it's just the modern thing.
Of the moment, yeah.
Yeah, they're great.
Someone from Sleep Token will be sitting having a conversation like this one in 10, 15, 20 years.
Do you think they'll have the makeup on
and
the
they'll
voice changer then?
I mean, the mask always comes off, the makeup always comes off.
You think they'll stop? I saw an instructional video the other day of the drummer, and they use a thing. You know?
Really?
Like he doesn't.
Even for the I guess they don't really do interviews.
But I wonder if.
Well, no what, it's like if Gene Simmons, I think it was Gene Simmons, someone from Kiss told Slipknot, don't take the masks off. We never should have taken the makeup off. And it's like, we've all seen Slipknot without their masks. And we've all, the guy from Ghost, for a while people didn't even know who he was. And then the internet figured out who he was. And and now he does interviews as just Tobias.
That's my favorite one of them all.
But I feel like that's inevitable when you're that kind of, we're all going to see Sleep Token at some point.
But I wonder though, like, they're in the heat of it right now.
Right.
So they can't.
We're not going to see them right now.
But they can't have this conversation yet.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? And I'm just interested to see.
Yeah, I just mean when they are having this conversation, they're going to be using someone else as their Sleep Token, as their example of, this is the big band right now.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy.
It's fun though, because you get this vantage point now where you have context that you didn't have before.
Yeah, I think, for me, I'm just, it's kind of the token. I'm glad to still be here. And I'm glad to still be searching and asking the questions, I think. Is this valuable to me still, first? Mm-hmm. And then is it valuable to the listener? You know what I mean? Like, and
that's where this whole new record came from.
And having the balls to ask yourself that question. Because it's a scary question to look at yourself in the mirror and go, is this valuable to me still? And the answer is a resounding yes, which is...
Well, you've had a unique advantage that not a lot of people in bands get, bands that stick around for a long time, which is that there was a time when you weren't in Underoath, and Underoath was around without you. There was a time when Underoath wasn't around at all.
Yeah.
And so you have gotten to go through a thing that is oftentimes the scariest for people in bands, which is, what's it going to be like that first day I wake up and I'm not that person from that band?
Yeah, I did 5 years without it.
I was going to say, you've done it.
5 years without it, and it was weird, and I never felt right. And I thought it would, and that kind of answers my question that I just went on that whole diatribe about, is like the guilt and the whole thing. Is
and by the way, you did another very successful band that, and at one point even looked like it could eclipse Underoath as it was going, and it was like, but you were still the guy from Underoath.
Yeah.
Like, what's the deal with that band? Well, it's the guy from Underoath. It's his band.
Yeah. Weird. Life, man.
Yeah. That's a good problem to have.
What a mess.
I mean, Dave Grohl's still the guy from Nirvana.
To me, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
Well, Aaron.
Dude, this is fun. It's great to be here. It's an honor.
It's an honor for me. It's we've known each other for a long time. There's such a comfort, and I come away from every conversation we have feeling like I learned something and
I feel like
shared something.
We just did you're a famous bio writer for artists and bands, and we just did that call, and I felt like I got to say everything, like more than I typically do. In this business, it's like honesty is really all you have if it's going to last, and if you're going to really get what you're trying to say across, if you really want to say it all with your art. I feel like that's a hard thing to do, and you need the right outlet to do it, and you've always given that outlet. So
that is the highest compliment.
Super cool to be here and do this and kind of throw it all out here. So
that's my making records these days is
Bios?
Telling stories. Well, telling stories and drawing stories out of creative, interesting people that
I bet you've heard some shit.
I have, now that you mention it.
I bet you've heard some.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing.
There's a vault
like,
somewhere, yeah.
Musicians, and especially in the punk, metal, hardcore, rock genre, what made it popular, I think, is laying it all out there. You know what I mean? Like, not just in the music, but in the clothing and in the speech and in all of it. Like, that's what made it what it is being able to say how you feel and being able to do your thing. You know what I mean? And you've always
fearlessly, unapologetically. Oh, sorry, you were about to compliment me. Go on.
No, and you've always been a place for people to do that, which is what I mean when I was telling you heard some shit, bro. You know what I mean? Because, I mean,
it's great.
That's what we do.
I mean, it's just authenticity and trust, and I just like to create a space where people feel comfortable being themselves, because that's the kind of music that attracted us. Was
Safe Spaces with Ryan Downey.
Safe Space. It was all about free expression.
Ryan J. Downey.
That's why that's,
I like the J. What's your middle name?
well, James.
James.
Here's the J story. It sounds pretentious, but you mentioned Elton John earlier. So when I had my first real music job after like doing fanzines, putting on shows, being in bands, I was the assistant music editor at a weekly paper in Indianapolis. I was like 20 years old or something. And this is back in the days when record labels still sent promo packages with an 8x10 photo and a printed bio.
Yeah.
Elton John had a record label that was an imprint for some major, and he had signed a pop singer-songwriter, but he was kind of like alternative rock. This was like late 90s. And his name was Ryan Downey. And I showed up on my desk, and here's this like cool alt-rock singer-songwriter named Ryan Downey, and here's his bio and his picture, and he's on Elton John's label. Elton John is, co-signing him.
Yeah.
And I just looked at it and I went, fuck. Because I immediately thought I'm Michael Bolton in Office Space.
Dude.
Right? Like, if this dude becomes like some mega star, then every day it's gonna be, oh, Ryan Down, I celebrate his whole catalog. I didn't even know if the guy was good or not. I didn't want to listen to it. But around that time, there was like a guy in the news a lot who was Howard K. Stern, and there was a guy that was like Mark L. Wahlberg. And I heard those names, and I was like, I'm gonna have to be, if Ryan Downey is gonna be this famous person.
Did you listen to Ryan Downey?
Never did.
Dude, we gotta get in
Bust it
there.
open.
You know, it'd be so sick if we should make like a bootleg of that music, and it's just your face.
Yeah, taking it back.
Dude, it's just a whole, you know what's funny is I loved like the late 90s, like alt pop, like Duncan Sheik.
It might be good. He looked like a Duncan Sheik.
I loved all that shit.
And I've looked him up since. He's become like a producer. A lot of times they're like, never quite made it.
The studio where we go to die.
And then now there's another Ryan Downey who's like an Australian musician person. But I predated him enough to get all the social handles. I must frustrate him. But I've been using the J ever since. That's where the J came from.
Dang.
Yeah.
I'm gonna look up Ryan Downey, the musician.
Yeah. I just got so I do a lot of pop culture conventions these days, and I'm hosting all the panels at this thing called Astronomicon in Detroit.
Okay.
And I was just looking at their, don't read the comments, right? But I was just looking at their Facebook announcement. Ryan J. Downey's coming back to host our panels this year. Everyone welcome Ryan J. Downey. And then someone posted the meme of the pawn shop guys. And it said, we want Robert Downey Jr. And then it said, best we can do is Ryan J. Downey. And I was like, that's pretty good. Yeah, I'll take it.
I love it. That's so good.
We got to take our lumps from here.
You got to do what you can.
But yeah, and that's just, the whole idea, like you said, of having a place to be able to like fully, freely, unapologetically put this stuff. That's what this music is. That's how we got into all this music. That's who you are.
It is. It is. I don't know how it happened, but I'm glad. There's a whole big story I just told to tell how I got here, but I still most days don't get it really. You know what I mean? Like, my wife always says to me, you're super opinionated. I'm like, yeah, I gotta say what I gotta say. It's just who I am. And I think that you don't get any authenticity without people saying what they gotta say, especially when it comes to anything art-based, so.
Yeah. I mean, you could never figure out what you think is right and wrong without having an opportunity to hear what someone else thinks is right and wrong.
Well, yeah. I mean, yeah, if you draw your line in the sand and stay on your side, eventually you're gonna start to sink, you know what I mean? You gotta throw a rope over every once in a while, so.
Yeah. Love that. Yeah. Well, Aaron, thank you so much, man, for joining us.
Good to be here. It was the best.
Yeah.
It was the best. Let's do it once a week until we hate it.
Oh, that's the plan for the show. It's just you won't have to be here. It's until all of us hate it.
I love it.
Awesome. Thanks, brother.